Welcome, everybody. I am so excited that you are joining us today for our Power BI session. Today is a very, very special day because I'm having one of my incredible student employees lead today's session. If you haven't been with us before on these tech tip sessions, we offer advice, techniques on any of the technology that we support at UT Dallas. I'm Amanda Pritchard, and I'm the Microsoft 365 specialist. And I have had the honor and privilege of being able to work beside Megdalite. And as a member of my team, she has added so much value to our data analytics by creating and providing a dashboard for us. So that's one of the benefits of knowing Power BI is getting that beautiful visualizations of your data. And that's what we're going to be covering in today's session. I do have just a few housekeeping items before we get started so that we can ensure that today's session is exactly the way you need it and is going to serve you best. We have had an enormous number register today, which just tells me how excited you are to learn this tool and how much value it's going to add to our campus. So just a few housekeeping things. We are going to be recording this session. The recording is on. You are automatically muted. Your camera is automatically turned off. And that's just going to help ensure that we maintain the pace of today's session and it's able to flow clearly. Right now, the chat is open. So I'm going to go ahead and post a quick post in that chat so that you all can navigate. And I see it's going to change colors for me, of course. I'll try to fix that in a minute when I'm not speaking to you. But I just posted in the chat the same information that we sent out by email. And that information is just as we're presenting today, we will be using that desktop version of the application. So if you're wanting to follow along step by step, we do recommend going ahead and having that downloaded so that you can navigate with us. If you just want to watch today, that is absolutely okay too. You are able just to watch and learn, but we do know some of you like that hands-on experience. In addition, I've included in that chat, and if you all can navigate to the chat, you should be able to see it at the top of your screen. It's a little chat bubble. If you can navigate there and just give it a thumbs up so that I know that you see that information and that I know that you have access to it. In addition to the data set and to downloading the desktop app, we do ask that for participation today, if you could try to hold your questions. We'll leave the chat open now for a little bit just so that you can interact and have some of that time. But if we can try to hold those questions to key times that we have in the presentation for those questions, it's going to help make it a little bit smoother. Just with the sheer number of attendees, we're not going to be able to stop at every single question and answer immediately. We will have time at the end to answer those questions and kind of go through all that information. So let me go ahead and just if you haven't already, I'm sharing an example of what it looks like to download the desktop application. The link that is in the chat is going to take you there. You have time right now to download it. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and grab that link in the chat and download it real quick. And when you get to the website, you're looking at the image that's on the left side of my screen, and it has that Microsoft Power BI desktop. You're going to want to have that downloaded if you're following along with us. So go ahead and you can grab that link if you don't already have it and you want to. You can grab it and follow along with us. And then another just order of housekeeping here. We are providing you with a sample data set. It's a little bit easier if you're uploading the same type of data, so we can tell you which columns to maneuver, which details, which formulas to change. So if you're wanting to play along with us today, then we've provided that sample data set. It's in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and you can hover over that next slide, if you'll just make sure the options are open. I haven't seen anybody like the chat post yet, so it's making me a little bit nervous. And I'm going to repost it real quick just to make sure that that went through to all of those that have maybe just recently joined. I do see some hands up, so it looks like we might be having some trouble Shella, and then I think Sabrina was next. I got lots of hands up. So if you're just trying to get to the chat, if I called your name, go ahead and let's answer that real quick.
Yes, I cannot get to the chat.
Okay,
I can't either.
Check those meeting options for me real quick, Magdalite, and make sure the chat is open. If everyone else's hand is raised because of the chat, we're addressing that right now, so you can lower your hands, and hopefully we'll be able to have that. Okay, looks like the chat was turned on. I'm going to repost it another time, so we apologize for not having that accessible to you. Give it just a second, and it should be available on your side panel now, and we should all have access to it. If anyone does not have access to the chat, if you'll raise your hand for me real quick, and we'll make sure that everyone can get it. Okay, so still people not able to access. Jose, you're having issues? Barbie, you're having issues?
That's correct.
Okay, okay, lots of people having issues. Magdalite, I'm gonna walk over, we're in the same space today. I'm gonna walk over to Magdalite's desk and do just a quick check to make sure that we have those meeting options set before we get started. 1 second. All right, y'all, sorry about that. That's a first time for us. We have done everything on our end. The chat is enabled, but we seem to be having a little glitch, and that is the joy of live demos. So I do apologize for that. If you do not have access to the chat, the information that we are providing in the chat is no different than what we sent out via email. It's also in the meeting reminder. So if you want to open that up in Outlook, you're able to see the links that we've provided. They were provided in the reminder email yesterday. They were provided in the Outlook request today. So you should have access to those documents there. Otherwise, if you want to just Google Power BI desktop application, it will show up there for you as well. So I apologize. There's nothing else for us to do right now for working on the chat. So if I can ask for hands to be lowered unless there's a different issue, and we'll go ahead and move along to get started. But in that email that you were provided with the information and in the Outlook calendar request is a link to our data source for today. So if you go to that and open it up in office.com, open up that link, you can go to File and then go to Save As and download a copy if you want to follow along. If you don't want to follow along, that's fine. I still see a few hands raised, so I'm going to address that very quickly, and then we need to get on with our session. Reed, you had a question? Nisha? Kartik, you should all be allowed to unmute now. Did you have a question for us?
I just forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, no problem. Magdalite, if you want to, you can go into and lower all hands for me. Thank you all. I'm so sorry for that complication. I know that interrupts our flow, but hopefully you're able to access those details elsewhere so that you can have that information. Okay, awesome. So download those two things if you want to follow along. If not, you can do it later and just watch for today, and that's fine. I do better being able to watch this content because it is heavy. I did want to address one other thing. Power BI, there's not a great way to zoom in. So during today's session, it might look a little bit small on your screen. So just be aware there's not a great way. We're going to try to very clearly communicate where we're clicking so that you can see how we're navigating. So just be aware that that sizing of the screen might be a little bit of a conflict for you. Okay. So just to have those expectations of the content that we're going to be covering today, We're going to do a general introduction, and I've got a quick poll, so we'll see if this technology works. Um, I'll go ahead and launch this, and if it's working properly, it'll pop up in your screen, or it's going to show up in the chat that everybody can't get to. So we'll see if anyone's able to do this. If you're able to participate, great. If not, don't panic. I just love to get a feel in 1 to 2 words. What do you think of when you hear Power BI? And if it did pop up for you, fingers crossed, then you're able to type in your response and enter it there. But I'm always very curious. This is a technology that some groups on campus have used a lot, some maybe haven't. So I'm very curious to see what people think of when they hear that. And so right now I'm seeing data. I'm gonna put mine in because there may only be like 5 of us that have access to the chat. There's no telling. So I'm getting a few responses now, and I apologize if you're not able to access that. We will have to have, I know Denison's on the call, we might have to figure out what's going on with Microsoft, Denison, to figure this out. So even if you're just thinking about it, those charts, that visualization, that better imagery and the interactive graphs are really what you're looking for when you're getting Power BI. So we're going to give a general introduction. We're going to talk about where you can get data from, and then we're going to focus on using Excel data, particularly. That's the data set that was provided by email. We're going to focus on using that, and then ways to kind of clean and transform that data. Sometimes you may have more information than you need, and you're going to need to cull that out. And then how to personalize your dashboard. That's my favorite because that's where you get to make it pretty and accessible. And then finally, how to publish and share that report with whoever else is wanting that information. So that in a nutshell is what we're going to go over today. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my slides. I do see one quick question. We're going to take it really, really quickly, but we do not have time to answer individual questions. So Malika, can I help you real quick? You should have the ability to unmute. Did you have a quick question? Is it Malika?
I'm sorry. Yes. Could you say again where to get the downloads from? Because when I go back to the request for the thing, it's not there.
So it was sent out today in the message from me. So the event request from me, which I don't, if you accept it, it'll be on your calendar if you haven't read it yet, but you can search for my name in your Outlook. It was also sent in the reminder email that was sent out yesterday. I'm gonna go ahead and let Magdalite start, and I'm gonna see if I can create a tiny URL to really quickly so I can get that to y'all in an alternate form, but I'll have to stop presenting to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over. Without further ado, Magdalite, thank you so much for leading today's session. I'll let you get started.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Hello, everyone. My name is Magdalite, and I work as the M365 specialist here at the Office of Information Technology. Before I jump in today, I want to introduce to you what Power BI is. So what is Power BI? Power BI is a business analytics tool that is part of the Microsoft Power Platforms that Microsoft offers, and it aims to provide interactive visualizations and business intelligence capabilities. Power BI is designed to let you create, share, and consume business insights in the way that serves you and your team. The primary use of the Power BI services is to view reports and dashboards, and with an interface simple enough for you the user, to create those reports. We'll first take a look at what is the difference between the web version versus the desktop version that Amanda was walking you through earlier. Power BI web version is a cloud-based service where users view and interact with your report that you've created, but it's designed for live reporting and collaboration. However, the desktop app, on the other hand, has more features, and it allows you to connect to different types of data sources and then transform your data into a data model. But unlike the desktop app, the data modeling in Power BI is not available or is very limited in the web version. And let me close out the chat. Amanda, I'm not sure if she's ready yet, but she'll show you and define where to find things in the chat, in the Power BI screen. Yes.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely. And I did make a really quick short link. So I apologize for having to give it to you verbally, but for whatever reason, we're kind of crippled by our chat right now. So if you want to, I made a short link for the data set. So if you go to utd.link, utd.link slash data set, that's DATASET, utd.link slash dataset. So that's an additional way that you can get to that data and be able to save it. So just briefly, I wanted to show you if you've not, we just don't know, some people may have no familiarity with Power BI. And so if you've not seen that dashboard, we're going to be referencing a few key points um, about it. So I wanted to just give you a very generalized overview of what that looks like. So we have up at the top, number one, this is the main ribbon that we'll be referencing. So if you're trying to follow along, that will be the main ribbon. And that has kind of the menu bar on it. Then we have on the right side of the screen, number two is going to have those specialized customizations that you're able to use for your data, such as that visualizations and filtering and then fields. So that's kind of over on that far right side. Then we will also be referencing the vertical pane, and the vertical pane is on the far left side with just a few icons. So that's a very general overview just so that you can at least get to see where in general items are, so that when we start navigating, you'll understand if we're up at that menu bar or the vertical pane or those visualizations where you can find those items. And again, that link is utd.link slash data set. It was sent out by email and in the calendar. So I'll see if I can go update it again in that calendar request for anyone that's looking for it.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So I'm going to cover connecting to a data source now. One common workflow in Power BI begins by connecting to a data source. There's two ways of doing that, and I'll show you how to do it at launch. So let's close out of any Power BI if you have it open, and navigate to the search bar on your computer. And let's type Power BI to open the application. Once you do, let it load for a little bit. Perfect. So usually when you open the Power BI application, you get a getting started pop-up screen, and under the dark box on your left side of your screen, that's where you'll see get data. That looks like a cylinder, but now let's not click on it because I want to show you a different method. So if you have the pop-up screen on yours, let's close out of that. And another way of importing data is from the home ribbon. So navigate to the data section, and you'll see an icon that looks like a cylinder with the tables under it. Perfect. And click on the Get Data icon, or the arrow pointing down right next to it. Perfect. And you'll see the most common data sources there. With Power BI desktop app, you can connect to data from many different sources than the ones you see right here. So for the full list that are available, select the More at the bottom of the screen. Yes. Perfect. Here you'll see all the available data sources in the desktop application. You can connect to a file which has options like Excel and PDF. You could also connect to a different databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Access, and Oracle, and so much more. You also have an option to connect to the various Power platforms like Azure and other online services. And I encourage you to explore some of this in your own time. But for now, let's close out of that. And I'll give you a few seconds for the people that have not been able to download the sample data, and we can jump into the next step of how to import Excel data in Power BI. I hope everybody have access to the sample data using the link Amanda provided earlier. But let's start on, we'll be focusing on today specifically on creating simple visualization from the Excel file that has been sent out. There are multiple ways of getting Excel data. The first option available is in your main Power BI screen. You'll see the first green box with an Excel icon on the left side of your screen. But let's not click on that yet because I want to show you a different option. Let's navigate to the menu ribbon at the top of your screen where it says Get Data. And you could follow the steps that I showed you earlier to be able to export the Excel. But the simplest way, there's also a third option, is right next to the Get Data, you'll see Excel Workbook right next to it. You can select that icon as well. Now let's navigate to the main screen and go with the first option and click on the green icon to import the data from Excel. Now you can upload Excel data in Power BI from your local computer or OneDrive for businesses. A pop-up screen will appear, so select the folder location and on the left and navigate to the bottom of your screen to search for that file name. Click on that and let's open the file. So once the data is imported, you'll see a pop-up screen that would appear, and this is what we call the navigator. The navigator gives you an option to transform and load your data. It also provides you a preview of your preview so that you can verify if you have the correct range of data. So on the right, you'll see sheets, just like what it looks like in Excel. Select the one that says financial in this case. Now you see load and transform at the bottom of your screen are bright yellow. So that means you could select either one to be able to go to the next step. So load allows you to go directly to the Power BI screen without doing any type of transformation. And the transform data right next to it allows you to, it takes you to the query editor, which allows you to make changes and transform your data before loading it. So for now, let's click on transform data. So the pop-up screen that you see right here, this is what we call the Power Query Editor. This is it gives you the primary data preparation experience. This is the user interface that allows you to preview your data and be able to apply hundreds of different transformations. And I want to do some data cleaning here. So let's say what is data cleaning? It just means taking general steps like it could be deleting a column or changing the data types. And one of the top data cleaning most users do is changing data types. In this case, let's do the unit sold. It is the fourth columns, I believe, just highlighted. So in this case, we see decimal points, and it doesn't make sense to have to include that in our data sets. So let's change it to a whole number. To do that, you select the unit sold, and you'll be highlighted as shown. And on the tab, on the transform tab on the upper left ribbon, select data type, and then you select whole number, which is the third option. When you click on it, you'll see choose replace current and change effect to change the column type. So now the changes that you've done should appear on your screen. Let's do another change here. I want to go to the segment column. And let's say you want to make the segment easier to see in the charts that we're going to be creating later. So on the transform ribbon, right next to the home tab, I want you to select format. And let's select uppercase. Now everything on the segment section, a column should be changed to an uppercase. Looks great. Sometimes you have columns with very long titles and you want to make them shorter or rename the columns. So let's scroll to the left and locate where it says month name. And I want to change that column name to just month. And to do that, you just double click on this, and then you'll be able to change or rename that column however you'd like. For now, we'll just call it month. And that's how you do, and you could click out of it. That's how you do a simple renaming of columns. And what about filtering a data? In a column that has product type, let's navigate to product type. I want to focus on only 3 products from the ones available. We go navigate to the product column, and let's select the drop down. Awesome. And then let's unselect everything. This gives us an option to only select the ones that we want. And I want you to choose anything that you'd like. Let's pick 3. And now press OK. This has filtered the data to only show information regarding the 3 products that we've selected. Perfect. Now everything's look good. Back to the Home tab, I want you to just choose Close and Apply to save the changes. And now our data is almost ready to build a report. But on the right side of your screen, you'll see, once it has loaded, the field section. That's where you see our data that has been loaded. It's called the financial. Let's expand it to see what we have there. Now you see all the columns that were there earlier. Um, Everything that you see that has the sigma symbol in front of it are referring to numeric numbers or fields that are numeric. And Power BI has also detected that we have a date and added a calendar symbol right next to it. And that's how we know it's referring to a date. Perfect. Now I'll be moving into DAX and how to write a DAX expression. But what does DAX stand for? It stands for Data Analysis Expression. It is a programming language that is used throughout Microsoft Power BI for creating calculated columns, measures, and custom tables. And it is just a collection of functions, operators, constraints that can be used in a formula or expression to calculate and return one or more values. Uh, Writing measures and creating tables in DAX formula language is very powerful for data modeling. And I won't be covering much detail today, so I encourage you to do some research after this training. And there are a lot of resources that you could look at about DAX in the Power BI documentation online. But for now, let's write a very basic expression and let's join 2 tables afterwards. So let's select the data view on the left corner of your screen from the visual pad option, perfect, which is the second tab. You'll see 3 there. And after it's displayed, let's go to the home ribbon. And then under calculations, you'll see new table. Let's select. So to generate a calendar table of all the dates, let's say between January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2014, we'll type the formula in the white box that you see highlighted right now with the table equals space. I'm not sure if the chat is working right now, but if you can see the screen, we'll type the formula there as shown. So calendar equals the calendar with the dates specified between the 13/01/01 to 14/12/31st.
We'll pause here for just a second, Magdalite. We're going to try one more thing with the chat real quick because I know it's hard to see on the screen, and I think it'd be easier if we could post in the chat. So we'll let, while people are looking or typing, we'll pause for just a second. I'm going to try one more thing.
we're still working on to be able to allow you to see the chat, so you could copy the formula that we've just entered. But for now, I'll continue ahead with the next step. So now that you have the formula entered, click on the checkbox next to it to save the changes. Now select the model view on the left corner of your screen from the 3 vertical planes, which is the last option right there, and drag the date field from the financial table, and then let's drop it in the calendar table. This joins the 2 tables and create a relationship between them. Perfect. And now let's go back to the report tab, which is the first one on the left. I also want to remind you something here. This report editor is only available in the editing view. To open it, you must be a report owner or creator or contributor to the workspace that houses the report that you're currently working on. And Power BI report editor is divided into several main sections. I know Amanda covered a little bit earlier, but I'll explain each one to make it easier for you to follow along with me while we start creating the dashboard later. So we have the ribbon at the top. This is where you find the home tab. And you could also add, there's a lot of actions there. And there's always new ones being added. So whenever Microsoft has a new feature that I integrate, there's usually where they add the new ribbons. And the other one is the report canvas. It is the whiteboard in the middle of your screen. This is where your work is being displayed, and this is the area where visualizations are created from the field section, the visualization section, and the filters. And on the right side of your screen, there are 3 planes that are visible, and these are the filter, visualization, and field. Let's expand them by double clicking on the 2 arrows. This will display, perfect. This will display all 3. The first 2, the filters and visualization, they're the ones that control what your visualization looks like. The type, the color, the filtering, formatting, that's where you find that. And the fields is where you manage the underlying data in the visualization that you're creating. Now let's focus on just the visualization right now. And you see there's 2 tabs at the top. The first tab is where you could add things to your visual. So at the top, you'll see all the different charts. Let's hover over them so you can see later when I'm telling you a pie chart or a line chart, this is where you have to look for to create it. And right next to the first tab that we just selected, there is another one that has a paintbrush underneath. This is where you could display the formatting plane of the selected visualization. You can format it by expanding some of that. Let's click on it to see the different things that are available. Perfect. And take the time to navigate and see what you could do with the visualization that you've created there. So but we'll come back to this and we'll be using these options later in the later part of the training. But now I want to get started with creating the visuals. Let's add a title to this report. And to do this, you go to the insert at the home ribbon, insert tab, perfect. And let's select text box. Then once that is displayed, you could type the title. Let's call it financial report. Perfect. Now let's highlight the title and let's set the font size to 20. And let's make it bold. Now resize the text box and fit just to one line by dragging it from the corner, just like that. Now we have the title done, and I want to start by creating a line chart. I want to look at the profits that we have by date. Now, let's go to the fields pane and drag the profit field to the blank area in your report canvas. So by default, when you do this, Power BI will display the column chart with just one column, profit. But let's drag the date field that we created earlier from the calendar table instead. Let's expand the calendar table and then drag the dates into the charts that we just created. Now Power BI has updated the column to show profit for both 2013 and 2014. In the visualization plane, let's navigate to where it says Access Value. And let's right-click on it. I click on Access, and you'll see there's a date and a date hierarchy. Let's change the date hierarchy to just date. Perfect. Now we're done. You can see both years appear on the chart and with profit by date. Now let's click out of the charts. You'd have to take the step. You have to click out of the chart every time you want to create, or you'd be making to the changes to the chart that you've already created. So after clicking out, I want to show you how to create another pie chart. Now let's say I'm curious to know what is the gross sale by product. Let's select the pie chart from the visualization plane. And let's navigate to the fields. And let's select gross sale. Just click on it on gross sales. And then let's select product. Now we have a beautiful pie chart with all the 3 products that we have in our data sets, and you can see the gross sales that we've made. Let's create a tree map now. We're about to, let's go to the visualization plane. You scroll down to the tree map. Perfect. It's on the 3rd row, last tab. And now back to the fields section. We can select the data. And let's select sales. And then segment. Okay, that looks great. Now let's click out of it again. And I want to show you how to create a clustered bar chart. You navigate to the visualization plane again. It's the 3rd option from the 1st row. Go to the fields and let's select cost of goods, then gross sales, then product. That looks awesome. We could do a multi-row card right now, which you could find on the 4th row. And let's select sales and country. Perfect. So now we have a couple of different types of charts that we have created from the information from the field section. Now I want to show you, just in case that you create a chart if accidentally, or you decide that you don't want that chart to be part of it, let's create one random visualization chart from the visualization section. Let's do another pie chart. In order to delete some chart that you've created, go to the 3 dots on the right side of your chart and click on it. And you'll see a remove or spotlight. If you want to remove the chart, just click on the first option. and that would remove it. Perfect. So this is a very easy and simple steps to create a report, but I want to show you how to filter this visualization. Go back to the one we created for sales and country, which is the final chart that we just created. Let's select it. And there, the fields that are in the visuals that you've created are usually automatically filtered. But as the report designer, you can identify the field that isn't uh, already in the visual and add a field directly to the visual level in the filters bucket. So to the newly created chart that we did, let's drag the fields. Let's drag the year from fields, and let's drop it into add data filters in the filter section. Drag it. You'll see the add data filters here. Perfect. And expand the filter card by clicking on the arrow. And if it's already expanded, just look for on the filter type, select the drop down and pick a basic filter. Change it to basic filtering. Okay. And let's only select 2014. So this is an extra layer of filtering that allows you to see the total sales in each country just for the year 2014. So everything in the report has been adjusted to show the 2014 data. And I want to show you how to also format the report if you want to do some light formatting on this report or just make it look a little bit more polished. And here are some few steps you can take. Let's start by rearranging the chart. You can just click on it, drag and drop it anywhere in the plane. You could also click on the edge of the chart to be able to just expand it to your liking. Now I'm going to take a few seconds so I could just rearrange the look of this report. This just allows us to be able to see what we've created a little bit more easily. Now let's go to the bottom of your screen where you see page 1. That's kind of like a sheets in Excel. At the bottom, you could just rename it to your liking. Let's double click on it and let's rename it to summary. Perfect. Now on the main ribbon, let's click on the view tab and you'll see the teams that are available for you. And let's navigate to where it says City Park. I like that color and I like that. See now you see some changes in the looks of your report and you're done. This is how you can create a very simple visualization in Power BI. Okay, now you're done with the visualization and you want to be able to share it with your coworkers or your classmates. To do that, you would have to save the report first. Let's navigate to the files and select save. Then in the pop-up screen, type the name of you want to give your report. Okay, and let's save. Click on save. So after saving your report, the next step is to be able to publish it. So let's navigate to the home ribbon. And then the last option is publish. Let's click on Publish. Here, you may need to sign in if you have not already when you open Power BI. This just gives you access to be able to save it in your workspace. Now, let's click on the first option, My Workspace, and that will be the destination for this report. And let's click on Save. It usually takes a second for it to properly load it. And now we could open a web browser, go to Chrome, and then if you have not logged in, just log into office.com, and you'll see the 6 dots on your left side of your screen. When you click on it, it gives you the option of the multiple apps that are available. Look for Power BI and open it. And we know that we saved our dashboard earlier in My Workspace, so let's just click on My Workspace area. Perfect. And we have the financial report that we've just created. And to share this with your colleagues, you could, there is an icon available right next to the report that looks like the sending out. Click on that. Here is where you could type the names, the email addresses of the individuals that you would like to share with. And then after selecting the person that you'd like to share it with, you could just click on enter, or there's a send button right there that would be highlighted once you put the correct email address. But you could also just copy the link and go to your Teams or any chats that you use, communication method, and you could just copy the links for them. And when they click on that link, they'll be able to see the visualization of the report that you've created and interact with it, what you've created. That is it. This is how you could create a simple visualization and share it with your coworkers. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, we'll open up the chat. I'm not sure if it started working, but or maybe we'll turn on the mics.
I think we're at like a C plus right now for the chat. I tried to, while you were presenting, I tried to manually enter one person at a time. I did not get through the full list. So we've got, I think, about a 75% rate of success with our chat. So I did post some information in the chat for those of you who are able to access it. Hooray! If not, we apologize. We will be sending out the slides, the announcements that we had intended on making in the chat, and those links. But I did want to call attention to a few things. This is recorded on our YouTube channel. And I wanted to show you, and I didn't tell Meg's Light I was going to do this, but I'm going to show it because I'm so proud. I'm like a proud mama of what she has accomplished for our team. So I'm going to give you just a quick preview of the dashboard. You know, she gave you a sample of what you can build, but you have the ability to manipulate so much data and to make it really aesthetically pleasing. So this is the dashboard for our social media accounts in the Office of Information Technology. And I just was going to give a really quick overview because this is Megalit's baby. She has built it from scratch, learning Power BI and able to administrate it here in our offices so that we have access to this data. So just going to jump around really quickly so that you can see what it looks like. You have all of your separate tabs with data. And the beautiful thing is that you can toggle and have these great interactive reports based on, we've got it here broken down by month, but anytime you click on a particular date, it's going to give you the data that's related to that. So I'll just jump around, really just showing highlight level, really that upper view of what you can do. Again, she showed you how to pull in those particular graphs, making that selections with your visualizations of whether you want that pie chart or a bar chart. And so it's really helpful just to see at a moment's glance where you are month to month and how we're doing with our social media analytics. And it's a great way of just tracking and referencing that data. But she's built all this out by our different channels, shows us all of our interactions. And again, Power BI is limited just to, I guess, your data and your imagination. You're able to develop all of these tools so that you can get a glance and look at any of the information that's relevant to you. So we understand kind of how to target and communicate with our audiences better based on the information that's provided in this dashboard. So just had to share that with y'all really quickly because I think you can absolutely start building the smaller dashboards, but then you can advance to a little bit higher level and presenting that information in really unique ways. I'm going to close this out really quick, and I know we've got some of this information that I can post in the chat, but for those of you who can just see it on screen, I have QR codes, yay! So you're able to scan the QR codes if you are interested in joining us for any of our future sessions. We try to host these usually twice a month, just so that we can give you information on the latest technology. The next one is going to be hosted by Denison Rice, who's a Microsoft 365 specialist, an incredible trainer also that helps with our technology here. He helps on the back end validating it, but also will help with teaching and training. So he's going to talk about some custom communications. Today's session, we streamed live to YouTube as well. So if you're looking at coordinating those efforts, we'll go over how we did that, the magic behind the scenes. And then in the Power Suites, there's also Power Automate. So we're going to go over that session. So scan those codes if you're interested in joining us in those future sessions. And then finally, we'll just share our survey. I know we had some quirks and flips and flops in today's session, but that is kind of the beauty of these live demos. I don't think I've ever had one go perfectly seamlessly, and that's okay. We teach technology and it's a tool, and sometimes our tools don't work the exact way that we want, but we're still able to move forward despite some of those challenges. So we would love to hear from you and get feedback. I know if anybody has access, I think the emojis work if the chat doesn't, but kudos to Magdalite for putting together today's session. It takes an immense amount of focus and energy and thoughtfulness and planning to get all of those details orchestrated so that she can provide you with the most easy to access information. And this is a very robust tool, so it can be incredibly difficult to teach. So just kudos to her for presenting, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording in just a moment. And then Megla, if you want to change those meeting options so that if people would like to unmute, if there's any final questions, then we'll open the floor for those, since I know that we had issues with our chat today. Okay, if you do have any additional questions, we've got just a couple of minutes. If you want to, you are able to use that raised hand feature to ask your questions. Some people have access to the chat, so you can post it there real quickly. If you don't have any further questions, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure getting to host you in this session. So we did have one quick question, Meglite, and I'll let you see if you're able to answer this, but descriptive stats, how is that done to have kind of a little bit more description in those statistics?